Hello, my name is Brad Harrison, and I'd like to present my National Geographic Educator Certification submission. I'd like to title it My Flight to the Bumblebee. My flight begins in Madison, Wisconsin. I teach in a urban school which happens to have its own arboretum. The arboretum is made up of small representations of ecosystems found in the state of Wisconsin. So one of my first activities was, of course, a bio blitz. Students went out into groups and quantified the amount of birds, mammals, funguses, and the amazing variety of insects, particular the pollinators that we were able to observe. Here are some personal photographs of some of the diversity of pollinators. Um, from there, we started to learn about the pollinators and how important they were and how crucial they were to our agricultural production. Not only the European honeybee, but those native pollinators, providing valuable ecological services. In the state of Wisconsin, we have lots of crops which are dependent not only on honeybees, but bumblebees, such as cranberries, squash, apples, cherries. Um, Students learned the process of pollination, how pollination happens, and how certain species are uh, particular, particularly effective at pollinating particular crops. We also learned that in the state of Wisconsin, we have a federally listed endangered species called the rusty patch bumblebee, which currently populations are declining for many reasons, which cross many scales and perspectives. In particular, limited floral resources. Students and I decided to focus on that one because of our ability to make change. So, to teach students about the importance of biodiversity within pollinators, I did a simulation where students pretended they were bees and they pollinated using cups and removing popcorn from the male flowers and taking them to the female flowers. Students quickly realized that the more diverse the bees, the more diverse the pollination and the overall benefit. Um, we then went outside, learned about the biodiversity of plants, took collected data in terms of which types of bees were using which species of plants. We also took photographs and cataloged those photographs into a spreadsheet. We were eventually able to map those locations uh, where those pollinators were located and what species they were pollinating. We entered our data into a citizen science, a website called Bumblebee Watch, um, and students were able to write responses to the question of why do pollinators matter? Why do wild native bees matter? Here's an example of a student response. Students were, in the end, being able to recognize that diversity matters, not only um, diversity in terms of overall numbers, but overall function of that the a service such as pollination. We were able to quantify pollinators into those different groups locally. We were able to connect to a larger global problem of declining populations and see the economic role that those pollinators provide in our economy. Um, Extensions. Some students went above and beyond the classroom, and certain groups of students were really interested in helping out the plight of the bumblebee. One group of students, my ecology club, worked hard to garner money and resources and created an early flowering rain garden. Students worked very hard on this rain garden and many times after school or before school. The Rain Garden is a great resource, and it connects our middle school and our high school. It's a great learning location. Um, Students also went out and did some restoration and added more biodiversity to our existing prairie. Um, Some students were able to use some of the data that we collected to make sense of the roles that biodiversity or the distinctions between different ecosystems in terms of biodiversity and the effects of things like non-native species. So in the end, I plan to continue to work this work of collecting data, and I'm hoping someday I will be finding a rusty patch bumblebee. Thank you.